I drink two things pretty primarily besides water. I drink. I'm trying to get better at the water. I gotta be honest, but I love coffee. I love pumpkin spice of any shape or form. I do.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Emily Curl with iHeartRadio, and today we're hanging out with country music singer and songwriter Chris Janson. Hi Chris.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. I'm excited to talk to you because I've been a fan of yours since I first heard Buy Me a Boat. How did your life change after you released that song?
So Thursday, nobody knew Buy Me a Boat, or, relatively me, really, just on an independent scale at the time. And then on Friday, everybody knew, just boom, just like that. After getting played on Bone's show, my phone started blowing up, I didn't have the radio on, I didn't have my phone turned up or anything, and our life changed completely. Did just a full 180 in 2 seconds.
When you are getting those notifications on your phone and you're seeing everything pouring, take me back to that feeling. What was that immediate first reaction? Were you like, is this happening? I mean, what sort of goes through your mind?
I kind of thought it was a joke, I really didn't really think much of it. You gotta understand, the night before, we were driving back from Florida. My wife and I had planned on releasing Buy Me a Boat independently that Friday morning, just to keep our little independent touring business going and that kind of thing, and just, to stay relevant. So bottom line, I sent it to 5 people, including Bobby Bones, but I didn't send it in like a way of like, I secretly hope you'll play this. It wasn't like that. I literally said something to the effect of, maybe you guys could say something nice on social media about this if you like it. That's what happened the next morning. He just started playing it. So unbeknownst to me, I wasn't expecting it. Nothing in the back of my mind was like, we'll see what happens. It just, that's how cool it was, because it was a real surprise.
A real overnight success. That's amazing.
Right after that, Buy Me a Boat won iHeartRadio Song of the Year.
I was gonna ask you about that. I love hearing that. I actually just started at iHeart this January, so I didn't get to go to that one, but when I read that, I was like, that's amazing.
And that was totally unexpected too, so just grateful for all those opportunities. And then, since then it's just built, and all these hits have accumulated.
Do you have a certain feeling when you write something like Buy Me a Boat or Done that you're like, okay, this one feels a little different than the others?
Done is not only my favorite song, but it's, all my songs have some sort of true story to them, in some form or fashion. But Done in particular is our story, my story with Kelly. Now with Buy Me a Boat, that was true as well. I just had to make it up, because I was writing with a buddy of mine. It was like our second time ever writing, Chris Dubois, and I look for the things around me to write about, just like I think any normal probably person would. And I looked outside, and I had a pickup truck sitting out there with a Yeti cooler in the back, and I just got in from the woods, which is like where I spent a lot of my time. But he said, man, what do we want to write today? And I said, I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood, frankly.
Right.
And he was like, I thought it could buy me, money can't buy happiness, but it could buy you a boat. And I was like, that's funny, And so I just started playing the melody like I do with all songs, whether it be Done or whatever it may be. And it just sort of fell out, I try to at least stay in the mind frame of not worrying about it, not taking it too serious, and it's always worked out like that, And I'm the creative type. Like, to be a true creative type, it's partially awesome and partially miserable at the same time, because your head is, your head's in one space, but you gotta fight both on each side. We just pray really hard, work really hard, try to be the best people we can, and try to put out the best music that we can. And thankfully it's working.
I have to ask, did you ever buy a boat?
No.
You never did?
I bought several canoes, for my kids, and then I have a small boat, but it's more like a canoe, but it has a flat back transom so you can put a motor on it. I'm an ambassador for Bass Pro, so the boat thing kind of goes together. I have a really nice boat motor on the back of a canoe. Yeah, I use small river stuff. I don't do big boat stuff too much. And I just, frankly, because I don't know much about it. But if it ever comes across the table, then I have the opportunity to get one.
Right. Now let's talk about new music. Your song Waitin' On 5 and a music video that you made for the Everyday Worker. Tell me about this one.
The imagery, the scenery, the vibe behind the song, that's what it was inspired by. The everyday American, working class heroes, basically, men and women alike. The first thing that sold me on the video, I love my director, Sam. He did the Done video with us. That was the first time we ever met Sam Sis. He showed up at our beach house in Florida and was like, all right, we're here to shoot a video. And he was so easy to work with. And so how a great relationship was culminated. But Sam showed up with this with this moment, as you see in the video, where the American flag drops behind me, and it just sold me right off the bat. And just the unity and uniting factor in that, and just how hardworking American the song is, and the ethic behind it. And in the video, you know, my dad's a real car guy. So my dad is the car mechanic, car painter, restoration guy in there sanding.
No way.
The farmer, that's my father-in-law.
Oh my God.
And then I don't know personally the other actors in it, but I do know that we went through a whole, you know, regime of people and who it would be and what would look the best and this kind of things, and they just fit, you know, they just worked perfectly. So from the lady working at the cafe, from the welder to the construction guy, you know, if you picked 5 things on top of your head, those are very 5 classic American working styles, right? And so I wrote that song for people like that, like people like my dad, for instance, who literally, they work all week long. 5 o'clock rolls around, it's like, boom, done, they're out, see you. And you know, it's the weekend time. So it was a very simple sentiment, but you don't, you know, you don't hear a lot of songs like that anymore. You hear a lot of party songs, but you don't hear a lot of like Friday around and here's the time, right? And it's oriented to the American roots of that, man, and what this country was a lot built on. You know, it's built on working class heroes, man, and I love that stuff. I love guys like in our music business, like Merle Haggard, who always stood up for the working man, you know, and so hopefully maybe carry on some of those traditions.
I love that. What's your go-to 6? What's your go-to 6-pack?
I drink 2 things pretty primarily besides water. I drink, I'm trying to get better at the water, I can be honest, but I love coffee. I love pumpkin spice of any shape or form. I do. I like Black Rifle coffee. I like Mountain Dew, but I'm not opposed to Coke either, right? So
right,
like,
of course.
If we're driving through Georgia, where you're at right now, it's like, you know, that nothing beats a nice bottle, a cold bottle of glass Coke. So I like it all. Those are kind of my go-tos, you know. Things tend to get a little, you know, like for instance, Waitin' On 5. If I were not drinking, then I'm singing it correctly. If I am drinking, then it's like it might be great, but it might also be like over the top, like 12 to 10 scale, to the point where it might be a little wild. You know what I'm saying? So like in my past, I've been known to wear mink coats and get on stage and things like that, and nothing but cowboy boots. Like I was that guy. And those are what my friends tell my wife, you know, before we're married, which is us all in good fun, but it was also true. So I come from that wild background, so I just stick with the Coke and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I love Say About Me that features Offset.
Thanks.
Such a cool collaboration. How did that come about?
The lyrics are so true, okay, in Say About Me, and I wrote that kind of like I was a little angsty feeling that morning, but I was also, you know, there's humility in it. There's a tinge of cockiness and all these kind of things. But you got to mix that together to have the great. And when I wrote it with a friend of mine, Shy Carter, is one of the co-writers, and he was like, "Hey, who is that picture over there on the wall?" And it was a picture of Hank Williams Jr., country music singer. He didn't know who it was, which I thought was awesome. Shy comes from a totally different background, okay?
Yeah.
And so we really connected there, and it just kind of started the vibe off really good in the room, right? And Shy showed up in like some kind of like fox fur coat or something, I don't know, something really wild and flamboyant. And honestly, we never wrote a lyric, actually. We just turned a microphone on and I just started rapping, and that's what came out. At the time, I had a Bentley car and all these kind of crazy things. And so when it came down to the recording process, I turned it into Warner Brothers, and they were like, "Oh, we love this. Would you ever consider doing a collaboration on this song?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure." So we reached out, and he said yes, and did it. Yeah, it's crazy. And then
that's wild. Did you guys ever meet?
Yeah, yes. So we didn't meet during the recording process. We just sent him the track, and they did, you know, that's how you do it. He does the deal, we get it back, I love it, and then this is like, I don't know, before all the quarantine stuff happened, we were in LA doing the Kelly Clarkson show, and we were out there, and we were doing some concerts too, and we went into Shake Shack, okay? Just like everybody does in any city, and we went into Shake Shack, and the only people in Shake Shack, this is how God works, this is crazy. The only people in Shake Shack were me, my wife, Offset, and his security. Seriously.
What?
I'm serious. So he's standing in front of us, and he goes, he's just ordering his burgers and everything. I'm tapping him on the shoulder, I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And, you know, they're like, "Oh, wait." And I'm like, "No, that's cool." I was like, "I'm the Say About Me guy." He's like, "Oh my God." So that's how we met, which is crazy. It was a one-time over kind of thing. We met, and yeah, it was really cool. It was just a neat kind of way of, you know, saying hello and thank you at the same time. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was like when he saw me too. I had on a pair of like Louis Vuitton driver shoes, slippers, and stuff, and you know we have a nice affinity for watches, he and I, so, and cars, and so he looked at me like he's sizing me up, right? He's like, I get it, man. You are totally the guy, right? You're totally the guy. I'm like, yep, I'm really the guy. So everything fits. It's not just made up, stuff. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
I love that song too. When I play it live, you got to come out and see a live show soon.
Yes, I want to.
When that starts getting back in order, that song in particular, is a huge thing live.
And now you've also worked with Blake Shelton and Tim McGraw. What are some of the best lessons you've learned from working alongside them?
Oh man, well I love Tim because we're old friends. He's recorded a lot of my songs as a songwriter. I had like a couple big hits on him. One being Truck Yeah, and which was a huge hit. And then I had one just a few short years ago called How I'll Always Be. And then we did a duet on a song that my wife and I wrote called Messin' with Jesus. When Buy Me a Boat came out especially, he had not put two and two together that I was the Truck Yeah writer. So he just had me out to do some collaborations on stage and stuff for Buy Me a Boat. And then we connected the dots later on and became buddies. But with Blake Shelton, in particular on Real Friends, it was just I love Blake. We are real friends. We've been on several hunt trips together and that kind of thing. And he's just a great guy. Took us on tour years ago when Boat came out. And just when I wrote Real Friends, I just knew in my heart it had to be a collaboration with Blake Shelton. It sounded like something Blake could sing on and do it justice, right? So we just made the ask, and he said yes. And we sent it out to his studio in Oklahoma, and they cut it, recorded it, and he crushed it, and it was turned out to be the title track of the album, which I'm really proud of.
It's awesome. Last question before I let you go. This has been obviously such a crazy time for all of us this year. So unexpected, challenging, surprising in so many ways. What do you think is the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself during this time?
Well, first of all, I think we all take a second to try to proactively be more healthy. We're really more cognizant of it than ever. Of course, I've always been like a freak about washing hands and putting sanitizer on and just everything. But I'm that guy naturally. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned is you have to keep the work going. You have to stay positive. What am I doing? Well, when we tour, I always say, God, I wish I had time to write songs. We got to make an album, or we got to do this or that. And I don't really have time, and I don't really feel like it because I'm touring and we're traveling, and this and that and this and that. Well, we're not traveling. So now I'm writing songs, and I've written upwards of 40 songs for a new album. In fact, we just had a label meeting last week over Zoom, and it was like probably the best one we've ever had.
It's so exciting.
So we're talking about all the new songs and what's next after Waitin' On 5, becomes a big established hit, God willing. So I've just learned that you have to stay positive and continue to not only try to motivate others, but motivate yourself in the meantime. And by doing that, keeping everything going. You get stagnant, you're going to be stagnant. If you keep it going, it makes you feel good.
One of my best friends always says, energy creates energy. So it's like the more momentum you build, the more you're going to have. So that's awesome. I love that.
Idle mind is the devil's workshop. So, if you have an idle mind, you start thinking about all the negatives, especially in a time where it's weird and maybe you can't do this or you can't do that, or you're at home and you're not working, or just wherever you're at in life. It's important to try to find the positive factors in it, which, by the way, I'm speaking to myself when I say that, not just you and not just anybody who's watching the interview. I'm speaking to myself wholeheartedly because it's hard. It's a challenge. It's not something that's just easy going, especially for a person like me. So I have to find those things. You have to find what makes you happy and capitalize on those moments.
Totally. Chris Janson, thank you so much for being here. So excited for you. Waitin' On 5 song and music video out now. And I cannot wait to hear all that new music and that new album. It's going to be exciting.
We got a lot coming. Waitin' On 5 becomes a big hit. Then we got a bunch of stuff on the new record, Keys to the Country, among others. That's just one title, but one I'm really excited about. And I'm excited about it too, and thank you for your time, and it's a pleasure being with you on the interview this morning. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure to stream all of Chris Janson's music on iHeartRadio, including his new single, Waitin' On 5. We'll see you next time.